Everybody like and subscribe, praise the bell icon. Story number 1.
It was late October of 2018 when a college student named Natalie picked up extra shifts at the Taco Bell just outside a quiet desert town in New Mexico. She had worked there for nearly a year, mostly closing shifts, and thought she'd seen it all. Rowdy teens, drunk customers, even the occasional coyote slinking through the back lot at 2 a.m. But one night, something happened that she still refuses to talk about unless someone swears they won't laugh or call her crazy. The shift started like any other, dead quiet by 11 p.m., drive-through headset barely buzzing once every 20 minutes. Her coworker, a guy named Eli, was in the back doing dishes, and their manager had left early, trusting them to lock up at 2. Natalie was at the front counter, scrolling through her phone, when the front door chime rang. That was the first odd thing. No one ever came inside that late, not when the drive-thru was open. She looked up, expecting some tired trucker or a strung-out local. Instead, there was a man standing in the doorway, motionless, like he'd been standing there for minutes before she even looked. He was tall, well over 6 feet, with a heavy brown coat that looked dusty and sun-rotted. His face was shadowed under the brim of a faded baseball cap. What unnerved her most was that he wasn't moving, wasn't blinking, wasn't even looking at her. He stood just inside the doorway, eyes locked on the soda fountain like he'd never seen one before. Natalie asked if he wanted to order, her voice catching a little. No response. She asked again, louder this time. That's when he slowly, very slowly, turned his head to face her. His eyes were pale, almost gray, and his skin looked like dry leather, as if it had been burned or wind-cracked for years. He smiled, if you could call it that, and walked to the counter without saying a word. He ordered one item, a bean burrito, but he whispered it, barely audible. She rang it up, gave him the total, and he placed exact change on the counter, coins so tarnished they looked like they'd been buried for years. When she handed him the food, he didn't take it right away. He stared at her hand, not her face, her hand. She pulled back a little, uncomfortable. Then he took the burrito, turned around, and walked to the farthest booth in the dining area. That booth hadn't been cleaned in weeks because no one ever sat there. It was tucked into the back corner under a broken light that flickered every few seconds. Natalie tried to brush it off. She joked with Eli about creepy desert people, but she kept glancing toward that booth. The man didn't eat. He just sat there, staring at the wall, holding the burrito like it was something sacred or foreign. Around 1 a.m., when she was doing her final sweep of the dining area, she realized she hadn't seen him move in nearly 45 minutes. She told Eli she was going to check if he'd fallen asleep or something. But when she got to the booth, he was gone. No sound, no footsteps, no door chime, just gone. And the burrito was still sitting on the table, untouched, but it was unwrapped. The tortilla had been peeled back slowly, like someone had been studying it. And inside, there was no bean paste, just dirt, dry, compacted, desert dirt. The kind you find deep underground, the kind that smells like nothing. She stared at it, heart pounding. Eli came over, asked what was wrong, but when he looked at the burrito, he turned pale and swore. They checked the security footage. The man wasn't on it. The door never opened. The counter never showed a customer. But there was something. At the moment Natalie handed the burrito over, the footage glitched. A full 7 seconds of static and distortion. And when it returned, the burrito was already on the booth table, and Natalie was already walking away. They both quit within a week. Later, Natalie learned something else. Decades before, that exact Taco Bell was built over the ruins of a 1920s diner that had mysteriously burned down, killing a traveler who'd been sleeping in the corner booth. His body was never claimed. The old newspaper clipping described him exactly. Tall, coat, baseball cap, pale eyes. Locals say he still wanders the desert highways at night, stepping into diners and fast food joints like he never realized time had passed. But Natalie swears one thing more than anything else. She never heard the door open, and yet somehow he got inside. And he left behind only dirt.
Everybody like and subscribe, praise the bell icon. Story number 2.
It was the summer of 2018, in a quiet suburb outside Phoenix, Arizona. A college student named Marissa had just started her night shifts at a 24-hour Taco Bell off the highway. She needed the money, and the late hours meant better pay. Her shift usually ran from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m., and for the most part, it was uneventful. Rowdy teens, the occasional drunk customer, and a lot of cleaning. But there was one night she would never forget. It started around 2:30 in the morning. The dining room had been closed for hours, and only the drive-thru was open. Business was slow. Marissa and her coworker Jorge were restocking supplies when a voice came through the drive-thru speaker. It was unusually quiet. No engine sound, no music, just a soft voice saying, "Can I get a number 5 and a side of blood?" Marissa froze. She thought it was some kind of sick joke. She looked at Jorge, who raised an eyebrow, then leaned over to the mic and said, could you repeat that?" The voice came again, this time slower, almost whispering, "Number 5, side of blood," and a smile. Jorge pulled off his headset and laughed it off, muttering about stoned weirdos, but Marissa didn't laugh. Something about the tone of that voice didn't feel right. It was too calm, too cold. They waited at the window, expecting a car to pull up, but nothing came. No lights, no tires, no one. They rewound the security footage to the moment the order came in and saw nothing at all. The drive-through lane was empty. Still creeped out, they tried to shake it off. About 15 minutes later, the smell started. It was faint at first, like raw meat left out too long. Marissa thought maybe something in the walk-in fridge had gone bad, but when she opened it, everything was fine. Then Jorge said, "Do you smell that? It's stronger near the mop sink." The smell led them to the back door, the one that led to the dumpster outside. The door was supposed to be locked, but it wasn't. It was cracked open just enough for a sliver of night to slip in. They stared at it. Neither of them remembered unlocking it. When Jorge opened it, the smell hit them full force. Rotting meat, metallic and sour. Right there on the concrete just outside the door was a Taco Bell cup, one of theirs, the kind they'd handed out all night. But this one was filled to the brim with something dark. Jorge picked it up and gagged. It was blood, real blood, cold and thick. They called the police immediately. By the time the officers arrived, the cup was gone, vanished, not spilled, not moved, just gone. And the smell? It faded as fast as it came. The footage from the back alley camera? Corrupted. That section of the tape was static, though every other part of the night recorded fine. The cops shrugged it off. Maybe a prank. Maybe some animal blood. But Marissa couldn't shake the feeling they were being watched. She quit a week later after one last thing pushed her over the edge. On her final shift, she went to restock the freezer. When she opened the door, she found a single Taco Bell bag sitting right in the center of the floor. It wasn't one of theirs. It was older, yellowed with grease, with a logo design that hadn't been used in years. Inside the bag was a receipt. The timestamp read 2:33 a.m. The name on the order said Smile, and under special instructions it said, in bold letters, "She's next." Marissa ran out of the store and never came back. To this day, she swears she never told anyone her name at work. Her badge didn't have it. She never used it on the headset. But somehow someone, or something, knew. No one ever figured out who placed the order. The cameras never caught anyone in the drive-thru that night. The bag was never logged in inventory. And the blood? It was never tested because there was never a sample left behind. All they had was her story, and the lingering truth that sometimes the creepiest things don't leave fingerprints, just memories that don't fade. And if you ever find yourself working a night shift at a Taco Bell and someone orders a number 5 with a side of blood, don't answer, just walk away. Some customers were never meant to be served.
Everybody like and subscribe, praise the bell icon. Story number 3.
There was a Taco Bell off a quiet highway in Arizona that most people only stopped at because there weren't many other options. It looked normal enough during the day, but the night shift workers all said the same thing. Once the lobby closed, the real strangeness began. One of the employees, a college student named Marissa, was working the overnight shift with just one cook in the back. Around 1:30 a.m., a man walked in even though the front doors were supposed to be locked. Marissa froze because she had just checked those doors 10 minutes earlier. He didn't say a word at first, just stood there, staring at the menu as if he was waiting for something. She greeted him, asking if he wanted to place an order, but he never looked at her. Instead, He walked over to one of the tables in the corner, sat down, and just watched. Marissa told her coworker, but when the cook peeked out, the man was gone. Confused, they checked the doors again, making sure everything was locked, but neither of them had seen him leave. Just as they were trying to brush it off, the drive-through buzzer went off. Marissa put on her headset and asked for the order, but there was only static. Then, in a low voice, someone whispered her name. She ripped the headset off, her heart pounding, and told her coworker what she heard. He didn't believe her until the buzzer went off again. This time, they both listened, and instead of static, a man's breathing came through, slow and heavy, like he was standing right outside the window. The cook rushed to check, but the drive-through lane was empty. By 3 a.m., Marissa was shaking every time she heard the buzzer. At one point, the fryers in the back shut off on their own, and the lights flickered as if the power was about to cut. While the cook was restarting the machines, Marissa glanced toward the corner table and nearly dropped the headset. The same man from earlier was sitting there again, staring at her. This time, his head was tilted at an unnatural angle, like his neck was broken. She screamed for her coworker, but when he came out, the table was empty. No footprints, no sound of the door opening, nothing. They decided to lock themselves in the office until their shift ended. When the morning manager came in at 6 a.m., he found them pale, trembling, and refusing to leave the office. He brushed it off as exhaustion, but when he went to turn on the dining room lights, he stopped cold. On the table in the corner, the one Marissa swore she saw the man sitting at, there were greasy fingerprints pressed into the surface, far too large to be human, smeared across as if someone had been dragging their hands slowly, watching, waiting. Neither Marissa nor her coworker ever came back for another shift. The locals still say that if you stop by that Taco Bell late at night and sit in that corner booth, you might feel someone breathing behind you, even when you're completely alone. Do you want me to make the next one even darker, with a story tied to a real-life Taco Bell crime case to heighten the realism for your audience?